Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. My guest today is originally from Portland, Oregon, but she moved to New York City to pursue being a stylist. And then soon she found herself in Paris doing the same job. Welcome to the show, Pirrie Wright. She's going to teach us a little bit about what it's like to be a stylist in the city of light and how glamorous or unglamorous as it can be, as well as a little bit about fast fashion and how the fashion world is changing. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. If you want more bonus material and to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/La Vie Creative. And also don't forget to check out Amazon, where you can pick up my new book, Paris, A Life Less Ordinary. In the book, I talk about my creative adventures in Paris, from starting my business to being homeless, hello, starving artist, to how I met all these wonderful creative people. Don't forget to check it out on Amazon. And also, thank you so much once more for listening and for your support. Enjoy the show. So I am here with Pirrie, and we actually met at a Fashion Week party a couple weeks ago, and she was hanging out, and I was hanging out, and we started chatting, and I got to learn a little bit about her job and her life, and of course, I wanted her to come onto the show. So welcome to the show, Pirrie.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. Now, you are a stylist in Paris. For those people who don't know what that is, can you tell them?
Yeah, there is a lot of confusion about what it really is, but pretty much I am in charge of choosing the outfits that you might see in movies or music videos or in editorial spreads in fashion magazines.
That is so cool. Like, we don't think about all the parts that come together to make those things. We're just like, oh yeah, the model just showed up dressed and that's that. You don't know, like,
totally
that goes into it. And how did you fall into this profession? Like, you've always just loved style. Like, what made you become this?
Yeah, so I've always loved fashion. I never really saw myself in styling, but I was lucky enough. I had a family friend who was a personal stylist. And she just saw something in me and took a chance on me and brought me on as her assistant. And from there, I started working as a personal shopper. So that's really my background, is more personal shopping and styling. And then after that, I moved to New York City and I did the same thing, but at Bergdorf Goodman, which is a huge department store there. And there I was really working with like luxury brands, big clients, VIP, the whole nine yards. And once I moved here, I met another good connection that I found and just jumped right into editorial styling, and I ended up loving it. And yeah, here I am.
That's so cool. I mean, to go from New York to Paris and working in fashion, I mean, it must be like so fun some days, and then other days it's probably like all of us freelancers where we're like, when's the next job coming?
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah, pandemic time, like everything's been put on hold, right?
Yep, totally. And Fashion Week was so bizarre this year.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, Fashion Week was really strange this year. Like, a lot of people just sent in like videos. Like, the thing that I saw you at, it was just like the videos of the collections. Like, what were some of the weird things you saw this year at Fashion Week?
Yeah, I mean, because so many tourists weren't able to come, and the show venues were at a very reduced capacity, so they could only have the really VIP and celebrity people there. So it was interesting. It kind of boxed out a lot of people who would normally be taking part in the shows and everything. So I really didn't go to any runways, just a few smaller presentations. And then for the most part, it was what I met you at, things like, digital presentations, but then inviting people to come watch them together, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. It's like, here, come watch this video together. It's like, can't we just watch YouTube or something?
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was so interesting because the one I met you at was my first one of the week that I had gone to, where, photographers were taking pictures of me watching a video. I was like, this is so meta.
Yeah, this is the world we're living in, pandemic life. Pictures of people
So
watching videos.
crazy.
Yeah, it was very strange for me as well. Like, especially with everybody wearing masks. Like, it's the first time I've had to photograph people in masks. And it just feels so strange to be like, smile with your eyes. I can't see
No,
your face.
literally. Everyone has to get really good at smizing nowadays.
Yes, lots of smizing going on. And talk a little bit about like some of the VIPs you've worked with, some of the crazy events you've done. Like, give us a little insight on anything that's been like wild or like, wow, I can't believe I'm working with this right now.
Yeah, I think the majority of that was in my time in New York, because there I was on a styling team essentially for one of the top stylists in the entire city, who
Wow.
generates just millions and millions of sales. So we were operating like a pretty huge business day to day, and a lot
Mhm.
of these clients are just they're lawyers or they have high profile jobs, and they have the money and the passion for style, but not the time to put it all together.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was, yeah, I definitely got to work on some crazy things, getting people ready for huge events, balls and galas, and dresses that cost $100,000 that we had people custom make for us, and
Wow.
diamond encrusted purses, like things that are just
So crazy.
hard to fathom.
Yeah. I can't imagine. And like when coming from New York and then to Paris, what are some of the biggest differences you've seen in the fashion that's popular?
Well, I think in Paris there's just a baseline of style that doesn't exist in the US.
Hmm.
Um, like here, you take the most average person, and I'd say they're already much more stylish than the average person we see in the US.
Hmm.
And so it's nice that there's this French, even if you're not really into fashion, there's the French appreciation for clothing.
Yeah.
Um, and so I find, yeah, just the attitude about clothing here is really nice and refreshing. Um, and no one wears sweatpants in the street. No one wears, slippers, but you might totally see that in the US. So it's
Yeah.
nice. It kind of, you feel like you have to dress up every day, and I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like your job, you probably like the idea of having like dress nice all the time or people. Somebody told me once that you dress nice to respect others. And I never thought of it that way. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, you're like you dress nice because you want to, whatever. But then in France, a French person was like, yeah, it's to respect others, to add beauty to the scene of the street or wherever you are, so everybody can look at something nice. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I think that's interesting because I think of it more as I dress nice for myself so that then I exude that confidence.
Hmm.
But it's interesting to think of it in terms of, kind of we're all decorating the street and the
Yeah.
the scene that we see. I think it definitely is a mix of both, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that anybody, when you're wearing nice things that are made well, you do feel better in your skin.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what why I love my work so much is it's a lot less shallow or surface level than people might think. Sometimes I can really feel like a therapist, the way
Yeah.
we dress and the way we see ourselves is so deep, and often people have created rules for themselves and have blocked them from wearing certain things and feeling certain ways. So it's definitely really interesting work.
What has been your experience with that? Do most people know what they want, or they want you just completely to tell them what they want, or how does it usually work?
Yeah, it really depends. A lot of the time they just want a refresh and they don't know what that means, so then it's just up to me to assess their lifestyle, what are their needs for their clothing, and then I go into their closet, I see their current style, and it's just a matter of, finding those key 10 pieces that will elevate their style completely.
Hmm. Have you ever walked into someone's closet and just been like, wow, this does not fit them at all? What have they been doing all these years?
Oh yeah, especially because I'm from Portland, Oregon, originally, and that's where I started personal styling. And
Uh-huh.
around there, I've definitely walked into closets where, it's all activewear and hiking clothes, and you're like, where do I even begin here? Uh, I appreciate how useful these pieces are for your hike, but what are you wearing, when you go out to dinner?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. It's Portland to New York to Paris. I think there was a lot of differences in the style.
Oh, yes. But yeah, fit is huge. And a lot of times people really don't know how to dress for their body. So I can come
Mhm.
in and make them realize they're maybe three sizes smaller than they thought, or, that they can
Mhm.
alter all of their pieces to actually fit them. So yeah.
Have you ever had a client that completely hated like how you refreshed them and you were like, that would be my biggest
Mm.
fear.
Yeah, that is so scary. I don't think I've ever had that happen in a personal styling scenario, but I have in a for a shoot, and that's almost even worse.
Yeah.
Um, because the way it works essentially is when I'm working on a shoot, my job is to I contact all the PR offices here in Paris or the
Uh-huh.
brands directly, and I'm making a selection from whatever they have in their showroom.
Yeah.
They then send me those pieces, and so often there's not enough time to do a fitting and for the artist or the magazine to see the pieces. So sometimes you're really just showing up and you've got what you got, and so if they
Wow.
don't like it, it's like, crunch time. You have to find something else, have to make it work.
Yeah.
Um,
That's tough. I mean, because like you said, you're waiting for the pieces to arrive, and then sometimes it's like the day of the shoot. So what do you do?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've made miracles happen. You just have to when you're in this kind of work.
What are some like general ideas you can share for anybody to kind of make themselves feel better in their clothes or kind of pieces that work for most people? Like, do you have any like recommendations?
I think that's hard, but I definitely work off of a uniform. Um, not in like the Bill Gates way where it's like a t-shirt and jeans every day and he just has 100 of them, but I
Yeah.
definitely love finding, like I said before, the 10 pieces or 15 or whatever it is that kind of make up a capsule collection for my client, and then you can build on that and add in fun things. But I
Hmm.
think my main advice for people is finding the things that, they might be way more expensive than you think you can afford. But let's say it's a jacket that is perfect and you love it. The price per wear ends up being nothing because you wear it all the time. So my
Hmm.
emphasis is really just, finding those pieces that you love and make you happy and are very versatile.
Yeah, I think it's really important to invest good money in clothing. That's not something I really learned until I got older because in my mind I was always going to lose weight at any given moment. Instead, it's just like gaining,
Mm,
gaining, gaining. It's like I'll just
no,
wait until I'm
totally.
at the weight I want. But I'm sure you have clients like that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say, you can still invest and you can always alter down, or, there's always a solution.
hmm How do you feel about fast fashion, like things, for those of you, like you can explain fast fashion for people who are listening.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the current climate of the fashion industry is, whereas before in the haute couture model, which is how it was up until, let's say, the 1900s, was you ordered a piece and then it was made for you. But
Hmm.
especially in the past, century, it's become there are micro collections during the entire year. So not even spring, summer, fall, winter, but now there are, for example, Zara has like 80 collections a year, micro seasons. And
Wow.
so the turnaround time for pieces in fast fashion can be 2 months or even less for some companies from when they conceive of the idea to when it's in a retail store, which is insane. Um,
Hmm.
and obviously, with that kind of, the facilities and the materials and the labor required for that, it's just not a sustainable system. Um,
No.
I think it's hard because we're almost too deep, and there aren't enough options that aren't fast fashion. So people can feel kind of trapped. It's either like a
Yeah.
really expensive haute couture brand or Zara, which is easy, it's everywhere, it's cute. Um, but I think we're at a big turning point where even Zara, H&M, these companies have kind of had a greenwashed version of some kind of sustainable collection for a while, but people are demanding more. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to see a huge, huge shift.
Well, that'd be great. I mean, because it's just better for the environment, it's better for workers, it's better for people. Like they need to
Yeah,
make that shift.
exactly.
I'm happy they're demanding it.
Yeah, totally. And people have forecasted really that after this pandemic and everything is over, and even now, people are caring a lot more about the values of the things that they buy and,
Mhm.
where things are made and everything. We've had the time to slow down and think about our consumption because for a while we were just stuck in our house. So
Yeah.
I think the way we spend and the way we consume is really going to change as well. And all of the companies are just going to have to adapt.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's good news. What about Paris inspires the way you style people? Like, how has your styling changed since getting here?
Yeah, I think in New York, even though it is a super, super busy city and there's a huge hustle there as well, there's people are trying harder. The American fashion sense can be very flashy, it can be a lot of logos, really put together looks. Whereas France, it's way more laid back, and it's that whole French girl thing of making it seem like you didn't try at all. Um, but I do think that stereotype is actually pretty true. And so I enjoy having a more laid back sense of style here and a lot more mixing and matching on clients. Whereas maybe in New York, I would have done, super put together looks where this pant just goes with this top and this shoe. And
Hmm.
that's not really the energy here, style wise. It's more about a bunch of stuff that can all go together that you can just throw on and look great.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that it's so funny how it's like that put together but didn't try look. I kind of love that actually. I'm like, but how do you make it look so easy?
I don't say like a messy bun and lipstick thing and
Yeah, no makeup really. Didn't brush my hair, whatever. It's
totally.
very French. And how do you feel? Do you think it's true like there is that black uniform here? Like do you see that changing or do you think it's still very much like black, black, black?
You know what? I think that's totally changing, but I think it might also be a generational thing because I think the young fashion crowd in Paris now is really embracing kind of crazy colors and patterns that I wouldn't usually associate with this city, but it's fun to see. I think it's
Mhm.
definitely changing.
Yeah, I think that's great too. Because I don't know, when I came here, I had so much color and I've seen my wardrobe go completely black. It's like going to my own funeral every day. I'm like,
For
wait,
real.
where'd all the color go?
It is nice to have those pieces that you can just wear whenever and look very professional and black. But yeah, it's definitely good to mix it up.
Are there any stores in Paris that you really like?
Well, speaking of fast fashion, I'm trying not to buy as much, ready to wear, especially from an expensive brand, just because I
Hmm.
know how it affects our planet. So my favorite really is vintage shopping.
Hmm.
But I love designer. So my favorite is like the Diplôme, which
Hmm.
are, for anyone who doesn't live in Paris, they're like, huge, not always huge, but vintage stores full of archive designer pieces at incredible prices. And that's my favorite way to shop.
That's very cool. We'll have to put that link in the show notes too. That's such an interesting thing. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, definitely. And also most brands in that are made in France, for example, let's say Sandro, Eero, some of the more popular like mid-tier brands, a lot of them have outlet stores in Paris. They're not super
Mm.
advertised, but it's, you can go there and get a pair of boots that would normally be 400 in the store for like 80 bucks. Um,
Wow.
and it operates like a normal store, but yeah, it's just their off-price division. It's so nice. So I that also is great because it just avoids any leftover pieces from going to a landfill or being
Yeah.
incinerated. So any way, I can shop that's not just brand new stuff is my favorite.
I think that's great. We'll have to definitely share that with listeners. And why do
Yeah.
you think so many creative people are attracted to this city?
Mm. I think it is the perfect place to create because, for example, I used to be in New York where you never stop and you kind of just, it feels like you just work until you shut down.
Hmm.
But here, what I immediately appreciated was the lifestyle and being able to actually take a break and take time for yourself. And I think
Hmm.
that's a much better environment to create is when you're, able to take care of yourself, able to slow down.
Yeah.
And there's also just, you can't deny the beauty and like poetry of this city.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it just makes everyone want to create and do something.
Yeah, there's more space for that, and people are okay with you doing something creative too. Because I feel like in the States, they're always just like, "Oh, okay, you're a stylist, you're a photographer. What else do you do?"
Yeah, totally. I remember I once was asking people, what they do in life at a party, and someone was like, "Why would you ask that? We don't do that here. It's about who you are, not, just what your job is." And that was so shocking to me because I'm so used to just being like, "Okay, he's a doctor, he's a
Yeah.
lawyer," but
Yeah, I think very much in the States we associate your career with who you are,
hmm no,
which
it
in
totally
some ways,
becomes your identity.
yeah, because we are such workhorses and we do kind of morph into our jobs, which I mean, we're kind of lucky because we have jobs we really are passionate about. So I feel like I am my job in many ways. But if you don't really like your job, then I guess you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, totally. I think that's definitely the French philosophy is they're more worried about, who they are as a person and like what they exude and maybe their hobbies rather than, what they do during the day.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And how do you define creativity? What would you say it is?
Ooh, I think that's so hard, but I would say creativity is just letting something flow naturally from yourself, um, and not letting anyone else's expectations or opinions or boxes and frames affect that thing, whether it's just like your intellectual property or if it's art that you can physically touch. I think that's how I would define it.
I like that, especially using the word flow. I think flow is such a huge part of creativity and like being in the moment. That's how I think of it. And this flow is like you're there. You're right there in the moment. You're focused.
Totally. And I really struggle. I think you might agree with this too. When you're someone who works in a creative field and that is how you make a living, you can
hmm
sometimes feel like that, might be blocking out your true creativity. It's like, how do you keep the integrity of your art while having
Yeah.
to put a price on it and having to sell it, because we need to make a living. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting balance with that.
And how do you balance that? Do you try to find other creative endeavors that aren't paid, or what do you do?
Yeah, I think I just, at the end of the day, I think both of us in our fields, you don't really do this for the money because if all we wanted was money, we would do anything but this.
Yeah.
Um, so at the end of the day, I know that I love my job because it is so rewarding in the way that I get to see how it affects people's confidence and the way they go through their life. And, you know, often it makes me feel like I would really just volunteer to do it. I just love being able to be a part of that for someone.
hmm
Um, and so I think that lets me feel really authentic when I am working with my clients.
Yeah, yeah, and they can feel your energy and your excitement too, which only kind of goes into them in some ways, not just with clothing. They can have that exchange with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, what I like about the way my work is set up is that I don't have commission. I don't work for a store. So I'm really only invested in someone really feeling good and really having what they need rather than just pushing products to get a percentage of it.
hmm
And so I think that makes people trust me a lot more because, I have no interest in making them buy this $1,000 jacket unless I
Yeah.
really think they need it.
Yeah,
Um,
does that happen a lot in the styling world? Like, because a lot of people probably are getting commission, so it doesn't feel as genuine.
Yeah, I think it's hard when people have the store backing them. We always know that they are making money off of the amount that we buy. At least for me as a consumer too, I'm always thinking of that.
hmm
Um, and so even if it's subconsciously, I think it just makes it more authentic when you're paying someone for their time rather than just knowing that they want you to buy more and more and more. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's a
Is there,
hustle. I respect people who work with a commission because they have to do that. But
yeah.
it's just different.
Is there anything that's kind of surprised you from the industry? Is like something from customers or how everything works? Was there anything that kind of you were like, whoa, I didn't know like that's how it worked or whatever?
I think the main thing is just once you get into the behind the scenes of all the media that we consume daily, you realize, even just when an ad is popping up on your TV, how much went into that ad. Um,
Hmm.
when you start working on these sets, you're like, oh my God, you've never realized the amount of money and time and how many people work on this kind of shoot. Um,
Hmm.
I was just at dinner with my friend who is working on a huge ad for an airline company, and she's also a stylist. And for example, they have a shot with the Eiffel Tower in the background, which is just a maybe 15-second maximum shot, and
Hmm.
just to get the rights to use that and to light up the Eiffel Tower was more than 200,000 euros.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is something about that. The lights on the tower are copywritten or something insane. Like you can't sell it without paying or something crazy like
Yeah,
that.
no, literally they had to pay to light it just one time was 75,000 euros.
Wow.
And then to get the rights to use that clip for promotional purposes was, over 200,000. It's just wild. Like that's the biggest shock for me.
Yeah, that is crazy. And then, like you said, so many people are working on these ads. And like when you get the information to style it, like what information do you get? You get like the model, like what they look like, what they're selling, like what all do you get?
Yeah, so typically I actually haven't worked too much with ads. I've been more in the editorial space, but the way it would work in either case is there's whoever is directing it, they're going to be giving you all of the direction in terms of with the lighting, the mood, you get the models, you get their headshots, and usually there'd be some kind of storyboard that you're provided with, and typically some mood boards to work off of. And then it's up to the stylist to take all of that into account and then add their own style spin onto it.
Very interesting. And what would you say to people that say they don't have a creative bone in their body, that they're not creative at all? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I actually used to be one of those people, and I kind of created that story for myself most of my life because I'm, terrible at painting, terrible at drawing, and when I'm not good at something, I just, give up and I'm like, okay, I'm not good at that. But what's been interesting with my career and starting to do what is my creative outlet, I've started to rewrite that story into, okay, I am creative, this is just my version of that because there are
Mhm.
so many different outlets for creativity, um, whether it's physical or not. So I think what I would want to tell that person is just that you haven't found your outlet yet and just to keep experimenting.
Yeah, definitely. Experimenting is so important, and you might not think you like something until you try it.
Yeah, and not being afraid to be bad at it because, of course we're going to be bad at something the first time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very important as well because you think that if you're good at it, that you should do it. But obviously, everyone had to learn their trade,
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
you're Beethoven or something. And do you have any future projects that you're excited about, or where can people find you online?
Yeah, so this whole year I've been doing these shoots and everything, but I've just recently launched actually my new business, which is a branch of the company that I used to work for. So it's called Est Ovest Style Paris. And now I'm really just going to be focusing on personal shopping and styling, which is really the part that makes me happy.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so for future projects, it's just going to be building this business out. And we had actually just before confinement launched and done our first successful trip, where we had a few clients come to Paris and I guide them for a week, to different stores and shopping excursions and just really curating a whole fashion related trip for them. So I'm excited to also continue to work on that once the world is a little less crazy. Um, yeah, so for now, people can find me at estoveststyle.com, which is
Mhm.
Estovest. It's East and West in Latin. Um, and yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
Perfect. Well, we'll definitely share all that in the show notes. And I'm so happy you get the joy of helping others through your creativity. And I can't wait till the world returns to normal for all of us. Thank you so much for
Yes,
talking.
thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.